when you're asking about the outrage with regard to the Epstein thing, as a 25-year investigator with the FBI, I'll tell you that there are undoubtedly several lists, but they have to be able to prove what those lists are. And Epstein was a smart guy. So, obviously there's a list of the manifest on the Lolita Express. There's going to be a number of those that we've seen partials of in the past. There are also going to be lists of business partners or business development. And he was crafty. I'm sure he was crafty. And I'm sure there is a whole bunch of footage, but they may not have found it. When you have an island like that, I mean, there's likely several places where he was hiding external hard drives that would have files attached or whatever. This would be the stuff for, name your predator buddy. So, there is a lot to go through. There's also a continuum of what these people, what their activities might have been. Some people just got a massage from a girl that may have or may not have been 18 years old. Other guys went exactly where we're guessing everyone went. And I think part of the problem with what the MAGA base is having right now is that, hey, you ran on, going against everyone that says, you know, don't listen to your lying eyes. And here you are telling us there's nothing to see here, move on. That's what I think. It's kind of like being in a relationship with someone that's based on trust, like a marriage or a partner, and all of a sudden you find out they're texting with some chick at the office, and you're just like, it just calls everything else into question. And that was in response to your question, Sean, when you say, with all this big stuff going on, why are you worried about that? Because it's like in a marriage, if you found that out, all of a sudden, no matter what the big stuff is going on, you're side-eyeing everything that happens as a result. So I
No, no,
think
no. I guess, yeah, and just to be clear, Maureen, I guess and I agree with you. I get it because that's the point that I was trying to get at, though, is that
yeah,
like, why is this different for some people? And you're saying it. I wasn't questioning it. I think for me, what's fascinating is so I just want to be clear. I totally agree with you. For me, I'm fascinated the same way that Mark brought that young man on to hear that what drives some people to certain issues. So I just want to be clear. I agree with your point. I
yeah.
just am intrigued personally why certain issues drive certain when other issues don't.
But the
Uh,
bottom line is the messaging has been absolutely horrible, and they need to put a comms plan together. And it needs to say, hey, we do have lists, but we can't put them out for the following reasons, as a number of people have said. We don't know if these people are just business associates because he had a ton of them. We figure that there's probably 300 business associates, and they were investing money in all these things or whatever. So, I mean, the comms plan is key. I don't know who's doing it, but it's awful. You have Pam Bondi saying there's hundreds and hundreds of hours of video. Okay, well, show us some of the innocuous stuff if it's communicate.
I think,
Maureen.
Maureen, you said it so well. I've been saying this. It depends on what your definition of list is. And I think that's the thread they've tried to kind of finesse. But I have said exactly what you did. He kept meticulous business records. I can't imagine that those are not somewhere. And that's your list a little bit.
But they're also convoluted. Like when
Yep,
when if you're a crafty person and you're trying to hide something, it's not going to look like what it actually is, and you're going
that's
to have
exactly
like a
it.
code, and there's going to be. I'm sure there's all kinds of external hard drives hidden someplace.
Well, and by the way, I mean, we just know of certain very, very senior Wall Street executives that have publicly kind of gone through the ringer on this, that, it was a little bit here, a little bit there for, introductions to institutional investors, to
Right.
opening doors with heads of state. Like, so if you're an accountant or you're someone in that company, it was Apollo and JP Morgan and then Barclays, and you're seeing these, you're like, okay, that's legit. We pay people $5 million to, go get us in the door with this president of this country, and to get an institutional investor. That makes sense. You just didn't know there was more to it.
Maureen, answer my question from before, though, or what I put out there, which is, do you believe that in an instance like this, in a case like this, that there are enough people that would have seen a list or the list that at some point it comes out?
Yes, for sure. If there's a list, but again, I'm going to say there's probably a bunch of lists and they're trying to figure them out. And what we do when we're investigating something like this is what I call we drop the dominoes. So we'll say, hey, here's this list. This is a list of people. What do they all have in common? These people have nothing in common. Okay, well, this is probably a good list for us to focus on. So let's find everything we can on these people going in all these, so you're trying to, and give me, the other thing I would say about this, now I sound like Sean going from one idea to the other because my brain, I can't help myself. But the other thing is,
Welcome to the morning meeting.
the evidence. What about all the evidence from the
Not a
Ghislaine
compliment.
Maxwell trial? Why aren't we looking at that? Where's the list? This woman was convicted. Convicted on what? Let's
That's
call that out.
Yes.